Hi everyone! In this video, we are going to multiply two fractions. We're going to multiply the fraction negative 5 over 112 times negative 16 over 25. So again, like we did in previous videos, when we multiply fractions, the rule is to multiply the numerator times the numerator and the denominator times the denominator. I do not have to have a common denominator when I'm multiplying fractions like I do when I add and subtract. So in this case, I can just multiply straight across. So I have a negative 5 times negative 16, and that gives me a positive 80. A negative times a negative is positive. And so the negative times the negative gives us positive. Then I have 112 times 25. This gives me 2,800. Now, I do want to simplify this to make sure that I have the smallest fraction that is simplified of this 80 over 200, 2,800. Since they are both ending in a 0, I know I can divide them both by 10. So I'm going to divide the numerator and the denominator by 10, which gives me 80 divided by 10 is 8. 2,800 divided by 10 is 2,080. And I'm going to teach you a little trick. One way I do this is if I have a 0 on the top and the bottom, I like to just cross them out like that. And you'll notice that I end up with 1,8 without the 0 and the 2,080 without the 0. It speeds you up a little bit. And if I have several zeros, I can just cross them all out. Okay, now I see I have 8 and 280. And I think I'm just going to try and see if 280 is divisible by 8 because I can see they're both even. And it does evenly. So I'm going to divide the top and bottom by 8. However, if I didn't know this, I could do, as I did in previous videos, divide by 2, simply because I know that they're even, and even means that they're divisible by 2. If I did that, I would see that they're both still even, and divide them by 2 again, and then I would see that they're both still even, and I can divide them by 2 again. In this case, I checked that 280 is divisible by 8, so I can move forward, and 8 divided by 8 is 1, and 280 divided by 8 is 35, and this is in simplest form because the 1 is as small as it can go, so the fraction is the smallest it can go. Now that's the first way. The second way, and this is how I prefer it, is to simplify before I multiply because then I have smaller numbers to work with. So again, I have negative 5 over 112. Now some of you will say that negative should go in front of the fraction bar, but it can go in front and it can go on top if I want. So I'm going to put it up on top. And I'm going to do negative 16 over 25. And just like before, a negative times a negative is positive. So I'm going to change those right now so I don't get confused later. And like we did previously, I'm going to look for anything that can be divisible into a numerator and any of the denominators. It doesn't matter, it can be either one because when I multiply, all of them will be on the top, all of the numerator numbers, and all of the denominator numbers will all be on the bottom. And I can see that I can divide both 5 and 25 by 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1. 25 divided by 5 is 5. And then I can look at 16 and 112. I do know that those are both divisible by 16. But if I didn't, I could at least say that they're both even and divide them by 2. If I did that, I would get 8 and 50 something. 112 divided by 2 is 56, and that would show me that they are both even, just like we could have done before. And then I would divide by 2 again, and again, and again. In this case, because I know they're both divisible by 16, I'm going to divide them both by 16, and 16 divided by 16 is 1, and 112 divided by 16 is 7. So I am left with on the top a 1 times a 1, which is 1. And then on the bottom I have 7 times 5, which is 35. And that is our answer. And either way you want to do it works great. So whichever is your preference.